If we suspect a crime has been committed, will be committed, or is being committed, we can lawfully identify you. And he believes there's crime, so we can lawfully detain you. So go ahead, officer. You do what you need to do.
What crime?
When I asked you to vacate the scene while I talked to him, you refused. Why would you do that?
Is he on your PA system?
Probably.
I'll get him. I got him. I'll deal with him.
He was walking down the street. That's not illegal.
You failure to identify to me, you're going to sit there, I'm going to make you fingerprint, and it takes about 3 months for me to get fingerprints back to find out who you are, and I will make him sit there the whole entire 3 months.
You got a supervisor? You got somebody above you? In here, you're not going to run your mouth to me, because I'll just assume punch you on your face and then put you in that chair. You'll punch me in my face. Absolutely. Would you like to see me do it? That's what you'll do? Absolutely. We're going to be Are you? Are you under the influence of alcohol or drugs? Are you? Are you suicidal? Are you?
Welcome back to the Lackluster channel. Today's story was submitted by a viewer named Mason, who was walking down the side of a road in Missouri. Officer Schmidt of the Sunrise Beach Police Department noticed him and pulled over to, quote, check his safety. The CAD report claims that Mason was possibly intoxicated, with Officer Schmidt later stating that he was stumbling down the road.
He was stumbling on Kill Tommy, but I don't smell it.
Note that Mason is only 20 years old and does not consume alcoholic beverages or narcotics, and was not under the influence. Sunrise Beach PD is refusing to release Officer Schmidt's body cam footage, but while on scene, he requested backup, and Officer Shoemate of the Laurie Police Department arrived on scene about 6 minutes later, activating his body cam a minute and a half after his arrival.
I have committed a crime.
Are you intoxicated?
No.
You got the smell of odor on you, okay? You committed a crime. In this state of Missouri, in the state of Missouri,
Supreme Court actually ruled
time
that.
out. Okay, this is how this is going to go. If we suspect a crime has been committed, will be committed, or is being committed, we can lawfully identify you. And he believes there's crime, so we can lawfully detain you. So go ahead, officer. You do what you need to do.
What crime? What crime has been committed?
Don't pull away from him.
Well, I'm not. What crime has been committed? What's your name and badge number? What is your name?
And she said you were in a silver car.
You have to identify yourself.
Yeah, she's in a silver car. I'll run up there and see if you can
What's
find
your
her.
name and badge number? Yo, you have to identify yourself.
Mason is taken into custody, and while Officer Shoemate is accurate with his definition of reasonable suspicion, his articulation of his suspicion leaves something to be desired. The video starts with the officer stating that Mason has, quote, the smell of odor.
You got the smell of odor on you, okay?
We can reasonably assume that he meant Mason smelled like alcohol, an assumption that is contradicted by both officers later in this video, as they both admit neither of them smelled anything.
I didn't ever get close enough.
The current reason for Mason's arrest is failure to ID, which is a secondary charge if a suspect refuses to identify after having been lawfully arrested. But with the officers both admitting that neither suspect him of being intoxicated, arresting Mason for not providing his name is a blatant violation of his Fourth Amendment rights. Mason's girlfriend was at the scene prior to the body cam footage starting and was told to leave, and now that Mason has been cuffed and detained in Officer Schmidt's vehicle, they convoy to her vehicle up the road.
How are you?
Good for you.
Doing well. Got an officer that's going to come talk to you, okay?
Okay, why?
A couple different things, okay? Disobeying a lawful order, okay? If he tells you to move on, that means move on, okay?
I did.
Which is illegal. He said
I
he told
did
you a
move
couple
on.
times. So I'm going to have this officer come talk to you and we'll determine what's going on from there, okay?
I just came to the side of the road because that's my boyfriend.
Okay.
Just wanted to see what was going on.
Now, when I asked you to vacate the scene while I talked to him, you refused. Why would you do that?
Is he on your PA system?
Probably.
I'll get him. I got him. I'll deal with him.
What's your name, man?
Officer Shoemate, Laurie PD. Yep.
What's your badge
Hold on
number?
1 second. 330. We can hear you. 330, brother.
I'll be taking you to Camden County. Do you have your ID on you?
No, I don't.
Okay. I'll get your ID.
I don't have my ID
Okay, well, you give me your info.
on my person.
Social, you know, pen. Okay.
What is your name?
Taylor, Sim, SEMB,
SCMD?
MB. He was walking down the street. That's not illegal.
Despite the fact that Taylor was blocks away at this point, they are asking her for her ID for failing to move on.
So here's a little bit of word of advice for you and when he gets out, because he's being a lot nicer than I would in this situation. Okay, you failure to identify to me, you're going to sit there, I'm going to make you fingerprint, and it takes about 3 months for me to get fingerprints back to find out who you are, and I will make him sit there the whole entire 3 months. Okay, for one, if that officer believes he's been drinking, he's walking down the road, it is actually a crime. It's public intoxication, and it's a safety of himself. I'm just telling you right now. Okay?
I know what public intoxication
Okay. It is a crime. Okay, if he believes there's a crime being committed, has been committed, or will be committed, he has the right to identify anybody in the state of Missouri, okay? And if that officer believes so, he has full identification. With him failure to do that, if it was me, your boyfriend would be sitting in jail till I get his fingerprints back in 3 months.
Mason has still not identified himself, and it sounds as though Officer Shoemate said that he would use his perceived power to jail him for up to 3 months while waiting to identify him if he were the arresting officer, claiming that if an officer believed that Mason was intoxicated, that it's a crime. In a moment, both officers admit that they do not smell alcohol, and do neither field sobriety tests or blood alcohol tests to verify whether or not they could arrest him for public intoxication. However, Revised Statute of Missouri 67.305 explicitly states that counties or cities are not to arrest or punish for public intoxication. Dealing with an intoxicated subject is further outlined in 67.315. It states that a person who appears to be intoxicated may be taken by a peace officer to the person's residence, treatment service, or jail for custody not to exceed 12 hours. Of course, the statute also grants officers immunity from prosecution for false arrest if the officer has reasonable grounds to believe the person is intoxicated. So at this point, the only question is whether the officers reasonably believe that Mason is intoxicated and what grounds they make for their claim. Let's hear from the officers themselves.
I didn't never get close enough to him. I can go talk to him though if you want. See if I can get him to calm down a little bit. But that's up to you.
Both officers have now admitted on video that neither of them have reasonable grounds to hold Mason for public intoxication other than Officer Schmidt, claiming that he stumbled a little bit while walking down the side of a dark, windy road in the middle of Ozarks in sandals. Taylor is released, and Mason is transported to Camden County Jail for public intoxication and failure to ID. The audio is difficult to pick up, but I have done my best to caption important parts. Note that Mason has still not identified himself.
I'd explain to him first what would happen if he don't comply. The 3 months sitting in jail.
You listen to me talk. Listen to me.
What do you do?
Just run his mouth.
Okay. That'll work.
What crime did I commit? Did you tell me what crime I committed? I told you. You didn't. No. Okay, well, what? Shut your mouth and listen. You know by now. All right, I'm sorry. What crime did I commit? What did I do? You can't tell me? You want to go ahead and stand up so you can... Yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to forewarn you now, okay?
Mason's personal belongings are taken and stowed in this box. This paper was released through a public records request. It is a 12-hour hold form with Revised Statute 67.315 as a header. The officer's reasonable grounds for the public intoxication 12-hour hold is, quote, refused to identify, walking down highway while possibly intoxicated. At this point, there is still absolutely no evidence to substantiate the claim of the officer, and like a good patriot, Mason has still refused to identify.
You got a supervisor? You got somebody above you? Above me? Okay. Can I ask you a question? What do you need to force somebody to identify yourself? What are you talking about? So like say I'm walking on the side of the road. Anything that happens to you out there with your mind? No, I understand. I'm asking you a question. You're a cop. How long are you? You're not. What are you? Correcting supervisor. Oh, okay. What am I even talking to you? You don't hear my deal. You don't know. You asked me. Well, you should have identified yourself first. Really? You're going to start off a lot of good. Right? What did you say? We're going to start off a lot of good. Right quick. You know, I'm not playing your little bullshit game. I'm not playing any fucking games. You can throw the games you want to use, but in here you're not going to run your mouth to me, because I'll just assume punch you on your face and then put you in that chair. You'll punch me in my face. Absolutely. Would you like to see me do it? That's what you'll do? Absolutely. You keep running your mouth to me? Is this all? There's 15 cameras in here, and they all have audio. And you're threatening to punch me? Absolutely. Absolutely. Why? Because I can do that. You can? I just did, didn't I? You didn't punch me. Are you going to identify yourself with this officer or not? Well, if I do, then what happens? I don't know. What do you got on? Well, I think it's pretty well. Let's go. What does he have on? Well, look, I'll explain to you again. I'm going to tell you if you or shut up. Well, no, I don't need to shut up. Go ahead and put him on 12. When you want to 12. That's fine. Okay. Please go ahead.
You heard that right. This coward, Jerry Pedigo, is not only believed to be the supervisor of the Camden County Jail, he also operates the facility with impunity and disregard for the safety of his inmates, as he threatens to attack Mason for asking questions related to his detention. State official. Citizen. Asks a question. Threatens with violence. Knows he's on audio and visual recording. If that isn't an egregious violation of Mason's First Amendment rights and a disgrace to the authority bestowed upon this official, I don't know what is. Imagine if the cameras weren't there. Note that Mason has still not identified.
So I'll sit here indefinitely until I get my fingerprint. You think that's how that works? We won't make it on here. John Doe? Yeah, so you don't even say your name or nothing? Huh? You don't get to your name or anything? Well, if I do, am I free to go? And you're very different. I already brought you down here, so we'll get free. So what happens after I'm free to go? If we want to have it after, what's it done? So you did all this because what?
They did all of this because they believe they can get away with it. Here, Officer Schmidt tells Mason that if he identifies, he would be free to go, proving that the officer had no reason to believe that Mason was intoxicated, and that the 12-hour hold was retaliation for flexing his Fourth Amendment right to be secure in his person, papers, and effects.
What's your first name? Spell it correctly on the plate one, right? What's your... Oh, I won't be making it. So, it is shoot. So I won't be making it. So, up there? No, I'm not threatening you. If I was threatening you, then you would know. Okay. I don't make threats. I don't make threats. All right. What's your date of birth? What's your date of birth? Do you have any money on you right now? Yeah, I do. How much? I don't know. You can count it if you want. Are you on anything? Are you? Okay. Are you ill or injured? Are you? Are you on any influence of alcohol or drugs? Are you? Are you suicidal? Are you?
The officer eventually claims that Mason was walking on the wrong side of the road almost an hour after making contact. However, no charges were filed, and Mason was set free after about an hour and a half in a cell. Mason was locked up at 10:01 p.m. and had still not identified. The CAD report shows that just 5 minutes after being locked in his cell, that his name was entered into the system. It is likely that the officers found his ID and his personal effects, taken from him earlier in the video, which I have obviously edited, but luckily you can see the full version, or at least what the departments involved have elected to release to us, in the links below. The officers claim that this was all for his safety. Do you think Mason was more or less safe in this jail? Let me know down below, and please discuss what you think would be appropriate punishments for the disgusting acts we just witnessed. Ask yourself, what would happen to you if you kidnapped someone, tied them up, caged them, and threatened them with violence, all for not telling you their name? Thanks for watching. If you have a video you'd like me to review, email it or send it in via Facebook Messenger. You can also view this and other content on my website. If you're new here, subscribe for future content. If you've been around for a while, remember to like, share, and comment down below of what you think of this interaction. Shirts and other goodies are available at the Teespring store linked below. Channel memberships start at just $1 if you'd like to further support the channel and get a slick lack logo next to your name. I'll see you in the next video. All links are down below.